Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a review of a film from the United States of America, English language, released in the year 1951. It's in black and white, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and this film is called Strangers on the Train. And the story of Strangers on the Train, it centres around the main character of Guy Haynes. He is a tennis player, a very well-known tennis player, a successful tennis player. And so he really is living the life of a celebrity. But his personal life is very complicated and quite depressing for him because he has a love interest that he's trying to follow, but his wife, who had cheated on him and is carrying someone else's baby, doesn't want to get a divorce. So this guy is stuck. He can't pursue his happiness because of the fact his wife is choosing to be difficult. So it's a very unstable personal life that Guy is hiding. So one night he is travelling on a train and he is approached by a man named Bruno Anthony. Now Bruno Anthony comes across as his biggest fan, and it's very off-putting for Guy that Bruno knows something, about his personal life, mainly concerning his divorce, or what he wants the divorce. So this is very weird, and it's starting to weird, Guy out a little bit. But he doesn't think anything of it because he's just going to hear him out. Basically, just be polite because at the end of the train ride, he's never going to see him again. But that's far from the truth. So Bruno starts talking to him about small talk, and it starts to get weirder and weirder until they come onto the topic of the perfect murder. Now, this is something that Bruno had been thinking about for quite a while, very strangely. But he just says to Guy that not to take him seriously, but just hear him out. That he could solve all of his problems with this perfect murder. And basically, the perfect murder surrounds himself, Bruno's father, Guy, and Guy's wife. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly what the plan consists of, but it consists of murder. So Guy just dismisses this as crazy talk. He says, yeah, it's a great idea, don't get me wrong, but, basically just dismissing it. But Bruno takes that dismissiveness as him agreeing to this. So, things are about to get very complicated for Guy. So when Guy gets off the train, he goes home, he realises that a few nights later, his wife has been murdered by Bruno. Now, he confronts Bruno, he says, what the hell are you doing? And Bruno says, this is what we agreed to. Now you have to carry your end of the deal. So Guy never accepted this, and he's absolutely gobsmacked as to what the hell's going on. But he's found himself in a very tricky position because the murder of his wife is getting the attention of the police, and at the same time, because Guy is not holding up his end of the deal, he's starting to get stalked by this psychopath. So whether or not Guy comes out of this in one piece, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on the film. As far as Alfred Hitchcock films are concerned, Strangers on a Train really doesn't get talked about, and that's very surprising because I do feel that this is one of his best films that he's ever made. I would put it ahead of Psycho, but I just wouldn't put it ahead of The Birds. I think this is his second best film ever made, which is a disappointment because of the fact it's just not talked about. Many people, when you think of Alfred Hitchcock, North by Northwest, Psycho, The Birds, Rear Window, all those films. Yes, they are very good movies, but this movie really is an underrated gem, and I feel that not enough people talk about it, and I hope that this movie does get recognition that it actually deserves. Now, the movie is probably one of Hitchcock's most ambitious films because it has something more than just the basic premise. Now, the premise is about, a psychopath stalking his prey, and the prey is the vulnerability of the main character, so that is all very well done. But there is a lot of undertones to the film. There's a lot of sexual homoerotic undertones that I thought were very, very subtle but very intriguing because it gave the film just a new layer of depth. Yes, the main character is freaked out by Bruno Anthony, but Bruno, you don't know whether or not this guy is attracted to Guy because of the way that they exchange words. It seems, they're looking at each other in very odd ways, and you kind of feel, yeah, there is a little bit of sexual tension here, but whether or not it's going back and forth or just one way is never really made clear. So you don't know whether or not it is sexual tension or if it's just one person manipulating another. So that unpredictable quality is apparent throughout the entire film. There's a very off-putting soundtrack that is kind of upbeat, and it's kind of setting yourself up for something that you're not expecting. So it's kind of like Alfred Hitchcock is playing with you throughout the entire film. So that, the exchange, the sexual undertones between the two main characters, I thought, was something that I wasn't expecting, especially through two male leads. Now, a lot of Hitchcock films, yes, it does have sexual undertones, but it's between a male and a female. But this is male and male, so that's what shocked me the most. Now, I'm not homophobic, so it didn't make me feel uncomfortable, but in a world that homosexuality is so misunderstood these days that it was even more misunderstood in the old days. It was kind of like taboo. So the fact that Alfred Hitchcock decided to do this, I thought, was just very intriguing. I thought that aspect of the story gave it a little bit more. It gave these characters a little bit more of a humane touch. Bruno Anthony, One of the best villains ever put to screen. I think he's one of the most underrated villains ever. We always talk, people always talk about Michael Myers, um, Freddy, Jason Voorhees, all those popcorn sort of horror icons. But these icons are never really talked about, like Max Cady, Norman Bates, and Bruno Anthony. He's in the class of those people. But these are real villains. These are genuine horror, villains, because this stuff could really happen. And people like this are out there. And I thought that Robert Walker's portrayal of Bruno Anthony was one of the best portrayals of a villain I've ever seen. Robert Walker, it's a very underrated performance. So if you get this film, just get it for the fact that it has one of the best villains ever. Now that is also complemented by the fact that the hero of the story is very likable. He's a very sympathetic character. He's got a very troubled lifestyle. I mean, he's got, on one hand, a very successful sporting life, but on the other hand, a very disruptive life. And you feel that the complication, it's an added complication, the fact that Bruno has entered his life. And you really feel that Bruno is preying on the vulnerabilities of Guy. And it really does show you the dangers of celebrities as well when you get this crazed fan that brings up something and initially you dismiss it as something little, but then all of a sudden it spirals out of control and, you're framed for things and things, your life is about to be ruined at the hands of this one person. So that was absolutely fantastic. Now the suspense throughout the film is absolutely second to none. It builds to a climax, and that climax is promised, and it is absolutely delivered. I thought the ending was phenomenal. The carousel scene, the merry-go-round, trust me, at the end of the merry-go-round scene, you will never look at a merry-go-round the same way again. I thought that was absolutely terrific. There was another scene involving a tennis match that I thought was nail-bitingly suspenseful. I never thought you could get so much suspense out of a tennis match, but Alfred Hitchcock has managed that. There is a reason why he's called the King of Suspense, and that basically he can create anything, suspenseful from basically any situation. So, I mean, it is a dated film, but don't let that put you off, because while it is black and white, while it is a little bit dated in the appearance, you won't care about it, because very soon Alfred Hitchcock grabs you by the throat, he puts you into the screen, and you live the film. And I'm not really one for the old type of films, but Alfred Hitchcock is an exception because of the fact he creates such a sensational atmosphere. It's contributed by the sensational, off-putting, sort of misleading soundtrack. And it's kind of like Alfred Hitchcock is playing with you, that you're on the edge of your seat, and that Alfred Hitchcock is pulling all the strings. And this film was an absolutely fantastic masterclass as far as suspense is concerned. That relationship between hero and villain was very intriguing, and I thought contributed even more to the movie. There is hardly any violence, so gorehounds stay away, but this to me is true horror. It's got a truly memorable horror villain, and as I said, it really does play out fantastically well. Alfred Hitchcock never wastes a second in his films, and it ties up all the loose ends at the end, and really everything is basically spelt out for you at the end. But as I said, those underlying sort of undertones are always apparent throughout the entire movie, and that will make you think just a little bit more at the end of it. So, absolutely fantastic from Alfred Hitchcock. I'm giving this 5 stars. If you like his better-known films, then this is definitely one to check out, because as far as I'm concerned, this is one of his best films that he's ever made. So, absolutely fantastic. That is my review of Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.